All right, guys. Welcome back. And the left just never stops, man. They never stop. You guys know the squad. Ilhan Omar, the other lady, and Rashida Tlaib. These are the only two I really know by name. There's two others in the squad, but these are the only two I really know by name. I know them when I see them. But Rashida Tlaib, who, listen, man, this woman wouldn't want to be around Dante Wright, man. And I'm tired of people who would piss their pants if they were around the George Floyds, the Dante Wrights, the Rashad Brookses of the world, being the main people on social media talking about they didn't do nothing. People that would almost have a 90% victim rate around one of these guys if they were alone or in a secluded place with these guys. I'm not saying you walking through Times Square to you and George Floyd or you and Dante Wright in Times Square at the same time that they're going to do something to you. No. But if Rashida Tlaib was in anywhere secluded where there wasn't no police around and nobody watching around one of these guys, she would get victimized. Her property would be taken. She would be assaulted in some fashion. And so would a lot of the people on Twitter. But because of what happened to Dante Wright, Rashida Tlaib released this tweet, which I feel is criminal, especially from a politician who works at a congresswoman who works at the Capitol, which is surrounded by barbed wire fencing, National Guardsmen, Capitol Police. That's where she is most of the time, in the Capitol. She's a congresswoman. She says, it was an accident. She should have put a question mark there. Policing in our country is inherently and intentionally racist. That's why the police patrol black neighborhoods to keep law-abiding black citizens safe from the criminal element that has taken over our communities, because they racist. Dante Wright was met with aggression and violence. I am done with those who condone government-funded murder. No more policing, incarceration, and militarization. It can't be reformed. That is a criminal tweet from an elected official, man. That's criminal. Especially considering all the great things these cops do every day, man. Just, what's this, Wednesday? Let's just look at some things that cops did this week. We're not going to go back far. Just this week, starting Monday.
Have new details in a shooting out of Carroll County. 2 law enforcement officers are still in the hospital this morning after 3 of them were shot during a chase. We've learned over the past 12 hours that the suspects are cousins from Birmingham, Alabama. One of them was killed by police during the shooting. And that is our top story this morning. The family of one of the injured officers sharing he is fortunate to be alive after all of this. Mara Siriani live outside GBI headquarters with an update on how he's doing, Mara. That's right. At last check, as you mentioned, Sheba, latest we have is that 2 of the 3 officers were still in the hospital recovering. Meanwhile, here at the GBI, we received a late night update, and we're learning more about those 2 cousins from Alabama accused of leading police on that chase and that shootout. So again, that update coming in from the GBI, they say the 22-year-old Aaron Shelton is facing 5 counts of aggravated assault and 3 counts of aggravated battery. His cousin Pierre was shot and killed.
Who thinks that if this guy had gotten caught doing something else, like say they had gotten pulled over before they committed this crime, with all the guns in the car, all the criminal rap sheet from the past, and the cop had tased this brother, and it would have been somebody standing there recording, tells him, leave him alone, man, he ain't do nothing, get off of him. Some idiot standing there recording, most likely a sister or a white liberal. How many of y'all think this guy would be a hashtag? He'd be emblazoned on t-shirts. He'd be the BLM mascot of the week. These are the type of brothers that BLM puts up on a pedestal and puts out there, and you would think that most brothers is like this. Even the white liberals think that most brothers is like this, when it's not true. The majority of brothers are not criminals. It's not true. They're not. The majority of brothers are not criminals. They ain't gonna bust a grape. It's this this medium-sized faction of repeat offenders, catch and release, in and out of prison, habitual offenders that are wreaking havoc on the black community in the greater United States.
The 22-year-old Aaron Shelton is facing 5 counts of aggravated assault and 3 counts of aggravated battery. His cousin Pierre was shot and killed. And the 3 officers wounded are Carroll County Deputy Jay Repetto, Carrollton Police Sergeant Rob Holloway, and Villa Rica Police Officer Chase Gordy. Sergeant Holloway is a veteran officer who was flown to Grady after the suspect shot him, causing him to crash his cruiser. Deputy Repetto was hit in the arm. We're told he has been treated and released. And we spoke with Officer Gordy's girlfriend. He's the youngest of the 3. She says he is still in the hospital, but thankfully he's in good spirits.
He just got sworn in September, so not even a year. He hasn't been a police officer, but loves his job.
Now, the girlfriend of the guy on the far right, she just said something very interesting. He loves his job. In the community I come from, there's only 2 reasons you would become a cop if you talk to the majority of the people where I come from, in the community where I come from. 1, you were bullied in school and you want to get back. You want to make up for the fact that you were bullied in school. So the fact that this girlfriend said that this guy loved his job, even though after he'd been shot and he can't wait to get back on the force after being shot by some thugs, protecting the community. Black folk don't think that's possible. The only reason you want to be a cop is because you're racist and you hate black people, or if you're black, you was bullied in school. And now you want to get back at the thugs who bullied you in school. They can't fathom an altruistic reason, some other kind of reason why you would want to be a cop. That you may want to protect your community, that you may want to help people, which is what cops do 99%. Even the bad ones do it 90%. Even the cops you think are racist, 99% of the calls they go on, they helping somebody. Or they making somebody feel safe. Or they making the world a better place. Even that cop who accidentally shot that boy the other day, she was getting the goddamn psychopath off the streets. They was going to get a psychopath off the streets and in a cell. That boy Dante Wright was a psychopath. We gonna get into that too.
She says he is still in the hospital, but thankfully he's in good spirits.
He just got sworn in September, so not even a year. Hasn't been a police officer, but loves his job. Was a great student, does everything he does. He still says he's ready to get back out there.
And the GBI says this is the 20th officer-involved shooting they've been asked to help investigate so far this year. Mara, thank you. So if you recall, this was our breaking news yesterday morning, and let's take a moment to recap how all of this went down. It began around 3:30 yesterday morning. Georgia State Patrol started to chase a vehicle on I-20 in Bremen, which eventually that chase moved into Carroll County. And we're told the trooper was checking for speeders along I-20, clocked a Nissan Sentra driving over 100 miles per hour. And while the car did stop at first,
this brother and his cousin was going over 100 miles an hour. Just flying. For the record, I drive fast. I'm going 80 and 65. 65 to my mind means 80. I'm sorry. I just can't help it. It's like I got a lead foot. I'm always around 80 in the 65. If I'm in the 55, I'm around 70. So I'm not going to go be no hypocrite. However, 100, and then you fly past the police. Like, this is not like the racist sonar that got you, like, the black man speeding, and then, like, police just being right there like Scotty and shit. And this is you going 100 miles an hour over, and you fly past a cop with a radar gun. God damn it, you gonna get stopped. And white liberals would be online though. He didn't do nothing. All he did was everybody go fast. He was late for work. White liberals would be online talking about something the police shouldn't have stopped them for something stupid like that. Over 100 miles per hour is fine if you don't fly past the speed trap. Once you go past the speed, then you're getting pulled over, man. And if you got guns and drugs in the car, why are you behaving like that in that fashion? I used to have guns and drugs in the car at a time in my life. You don't drive like that, man. You drive like Miss Daisy, man. You don't attract attention to yourself, man.
And we're told the trooper was checking for speeders along I-20, clocked a Nissan Sentra driving over 100 miles per hour. And while the car did stop at first with a pit maneuver, when the trooper started to walk up, the driver took off. And that's when the passenger started firing with a rifle. After other agencies got involved, the suspect's car eventually crashed near Ithaca Elementary School, and then there was more gunfire. That's when the 3 officers were shot, one of them shot during the chase, the vehicle chase. One of the suspects was killed and the other arrested. Now, things are in the very early stages of this investigation. You can trust 11 Alive to keep you up to date on any new details on the officers' conditions on 11alive.com.
You think Rashida'd like to share a room with that brother with no cops around? Think she'd like to share a dark side street with that brother with no cops around? Huh? It was an accident, huh? Policing in our country is inherently and intentionally racist. Dante Wright was met with aggression and violence. I am done with those who condone government-funded murder. No more policing, incarceration, and militarization. It can't be reformed. Now, as you saw in the last story, the brother, after he stopped, he took off again. Then the cops stopped him with the pit maneuver. Then he hopped out blazing, humping that thing, mom, at the cops. Happens a lot, man. There are 17,985 police departments in this country. At least once a week in every department. Every little town, city, county in this country. This scene plays out where somebody's firing a rifle at some cops or a gun at some cops. So that, if that happens at least once a week, because in New York and LA and Pennsylvania, the big states and the big counties, the city, Philadelphia, this happens multiple times in a week. Sometimes multiple times in a day. But I just say, let's just play the liberal game. You got to go to the baseline. They want to play. He didn't do nothing. So we didn't do nothing. So at least once a week. That means this happens 17,985 times a week in this country. And this heifer here don't want no police. She don't want no police because Dante got killed for no reason. There was nothing he could have done to not get killed.
A wanted fugitive is dead tonight following an hours-long SWAT standoff at a local high school.
36-year-old Christopher Marquez was wanted in connection with several felonies, including attempted murder. News 8's Steve Price explains how the standoff took a deadly turn.
A SWAT standoff here at San Diego High School has ended with the suspect, Christopher Marquez, shot and killed by police. A captain says he was a very dangerous man. In fact, they believe he was about to kill a woman when they opened fire. The chase through the South Bay, Point Loma, and downtown started around 8:15 Monday night when a National City police officer spotted 36-year-old Christopher Marquez, a wanted felon, inside a vehicle.
He attempted to make a traffic stop on the vehicle. Quickly, that turned into a pursuit.
Inside the car with Marquez, an unidentified woman. It's still not clear who was driving, but officers say at least 3 times during the chase, someone believed to be Marquez fired at officers.
He's shot at officers. Last night, he shot at our officers. A week ago, he shot at bail bondsmen. He's a very dangerous person.
Look, man, I'm tired of this shit where cops gotta explain every goddamn thing. Look, you ain't gotta explain it to me, man. Y'all did what y'all had to do. Liberals got it now where every time the cops shoot somebody, they gotta have explain and try to say how they tried to. Man, look, this guy was putting our children in danger. He was already a wanted felon. He shot at the cops last week, got away. Shot at him the day before, got away. It's just white liberals and sisters. Why do you want guys like this in your community? Why don't you want guys like, you have children, your mothers. Your mothers, you have children. You're a woman. You don't have like the body mass and the muscle tone. Why would you want this guy who's shooting at cops every other day just roaming around your community? I just don't get it.
He shot at bail bondsmen. He's a very dangerous person.
The chase ended at San Diego High School with the 2 people running from the vehicle and trying to hide in a dumpster. They were quickly spotted and surrounded by SWAT officers who spent hours trying to negotiate with the couple to give up. At one point, they agreed to trade a handgun for water, but Marquez still had a rifle. Then, Tuesday morning, about 11 hours into the standoff, SWAT officers perched above the dumpster noticed the situation about to take a horrific turn.
The female had been trying to escape the dumpster. She was pulled back in on several occasions. The latest of those, she began screaming and begging for the male not to shoot her, not to do this. Two officers saw the male push the female towards the ground, and could see a rifle being brought up, prompting them both to fire their weapons.
So they chased this dude who was obviously, you know, there's a Bonnie and Clyde situation, but the woman, you know, she has plausible deniability because she's with a very dangerous guy. We don't know how she got with him. She could have wanted to be with him, but I don't know. But anyway, she's in a pickle. They're hiding out in a dumpster. He's about to kill her, and the cops have been for 11 hours chasing this guy, putting the perimeter around him, staking him out, trying to get this woman away safe. That's a lot of resources. Think about how much gas, just gas this police, how much dollars in gas they used for helicopters and cars, let alone the man hours. Think about how many cops put themselves in danger flying down the street chasing this guy, getting shot at by this guy, only alive because he missed. Now he's holed up in a dumpster with this woman, and they got the dumpster surrounded with hundreds of cops. After he was at a high school, so at least they got him away from the high school and our kids. You know, it's practice and it's after school, glee club, ROTCs. After all these, the high school ain't closed at 3 o'clock, man. And he's finally about to say, F it, he gonna kill the girl and then probably take his own life. And boom, the cops who've been right there the whole time shoot him and save the girl. And this story won't get any attention because it happens so much. This happens 20,000 times a week. At least. At the very least, because we didn't do nothing. At least 20,000 times a week. In a country with 330 million people, so that's not even a lot because there's 330 million people in this country. So
11 hours into the standoff, SWAT officers perched above the dumpster noticed the situation about to take a horrific turn.
The female had been trying to escape the dumpster. She was pulled back in on several occasions. The latest of those, she began screaming and begging for the male not to shoot her, not to do this. Two officers saw the male push the female towards the ground, and could see a rifle being brought up, prompting them both to fire their weapons.
Marquez died at the scene. The woman was taken into custody unharmed. Police say they are still interviewing her and haven't determined yet if she will face any charges related to this incident. No officers were injured. With Marquez armed, police closed off several streets in this area, and San Diego Unified switched 3 schools, including San Diego High School, from in-person learning to online classes for the entire day.
who here thinks Miss Rashida Tlaib would want to share a dumpster with our friend Mr. Marquez, man? You think she want her kids going to a high school around a Mr. Marquez? I'm really tired of this stuff, man. This woman should be forced to resign. It was an accident. Policing in our country is inherently and intentionally racist. Daunte Wright was met with aggression and violence. I am done with those who condone government-funded murder. No more policing, incarceration, and militarization. It can't be reformed.
Well, now at 6, Columbus police have identified the man killed in yesterday's shooting at St. Anne's Hospital in Westerville as 27-year-old Miles Jackson. Westerville police say an altercation broke out as they were transferring custody of Jackson to Columbus police. That altercation caused Columbus police and St. Anne's security officers to fire their guns. Police say Jackson had warrants out against him for domestic violence and weapons charges. BCI is leading this investigation. And for the patients inside the hospital yesterday, it was a terrifying time, not knowing exactly what was happening or if they would make it out safely.
10 TV's Lacey Chris spoke with one woman who hid with her daughter and says if it weren't for the officers' actions, she doesn't know if they would have walked out of the hospital.
And for the patients inside the hospital yesterday, it was a terrifying time, not knowing exactly what was happening or if they would make it out safely.
10 TV's Lacey Chris spoke with one woman who hid with her daughter and says if it weren't for the officers' actions, she doesn't know if they would have walked out of the hospital.
Out of nowhere, you hear this loud clap, and then you hear some male yell, he's got a gun, and then you hear 2 more loud claps, and then you hear all of the rest of them.
This woman who shot this video from inside St. Anne's Hospital yesterday has asked us not to identify her out of fear for her own safety. She says she and her daughter were in the emergency room when they heard shouting, then gunfire. She says she and her daughter hid behind a medical cart to try to protect themselves. She explains they were too close to get out, but heard officers giving commands.
They tried so hard to de-escalate the situation. They tried so hard to get him to follow directives. They tried so hard to have things end differently.
Just think about how terrified this woman was. You're in the hospital. And all of a sudden you hear yelling. Cops try to de-escalate the situation with a convicted felon, a bad guy. And I know he didn't deserve to die and all that stuff, whatever. They still ain't have to kill him. Okay, whatever. But a guy who's creating a very volatile situation in the hospital. You got a bunch of nurses, women giving birth to babies, people in there trying to get well, and this fool in there creating a hostile, dangerous situation. And as the woman said, the police tried everything they could to de-escalate. Situations like this happen all the time, where the police don't have to shoot nobody. In the 17,985 police departments in this country, hospitals, you ain't gonna hear about it because the police didn't shoot the guy, or they shot the guy and it happened in Mount Carmel. But no one thinks about the human toll of the other people that are around when these fools, these career criminals that should be under the jail. I don't think there's any, once you see this guy's rap sheet, I don't think there's anybody that would disagree this guy should have been under the jail. Is not under the jail, but he's sharing a space with you and he's acting crazy and the police are there and they can't handle him. So how would you fare handling this guy? And I don't care if you two-way, if you got a concealed carry license. It's easy to talk all that concealed carry stuff until a brother like this show up and you have to literally squeeze off 10 rounds in him. How many of y'all got the balls to do that? And then come with all the court cases and everything. You didn't have to shoot him, and a bunch of white liberals talking about you a vigilante if you white. If you white, a bunch of white liberals camped outside your house protesting, trying to get you locked up, talking about you didn't have to do it. If you black, his family now looking for you. They want beef. They trying to come see you. That's why this woman didn't want her name, her face shown, because she's fearful. This family me like, you didn't do no, you watched our family member die. They gonna come and do something to her.
Video from inside St. Anne's Hospital yesterday has asked us not to identify her out of fear for her own safety. She says she and her daughter were in the emergency room when they heard shouting, then gunfire. She says she and her daughter hid behind a medical cart to try to protect themselves. She explains they were too close to get out, but heard officers giving commands.
They tried so hard to de-escalate the situation. They tried so hard to get him to follow directives. They tried so hard to have things end differently.
She set up her camera so she could see what was happening without being seen. Then she decided to record.
I just had this feeling that if something went very bad and we didn't make it, or I didn't make it, that I wanted video of who did what to tell that story for the officers.
She says she was relieved when she realized they were safe, but says her heart breaks for the officers and medical staff involved and the man who was killed.
The looks on their faces and the tears in their eyes and the adrenaline that you could see coursing through them, and the nurses and the doctors and the PAs, nobody in this situation wanted things to end this way.
Thankful for making it out alive to talk about what happened, the two decided to make baskets for the officers and hospital staff to let them know how much they are appreciated.
And had they not done what they did, we were right there, and we likely wouldn't, there's a chance we wouldn't be here today. And because they did what they did, and I am so sorry for his family, I still have a daughter, and I still get to watch her go to her first prom next week.
In Columbus, Lacey Crisp, 10 TV News.
That woman and her daughter were also at Polaris Mall on March 3rd when there was a shooting there. They ran after people screamed someone had a gun and started shooting. She says it's been quite emotional few weeks.
Now you heard him say that this woman was at the mall a few weeks ago when there was a shooting at the mall. So within a few weeks, this woman's been in two places where there's been violent criminals of a particular description, and her life has been threatened. And y'all talking about no police. Get rid of the police. This is one woman's experience.
Now at noon, as Columbus police continue their search for these men who fired shots at each other inside Polaris Mall on Wednesday, we're getting our first look at body camera video from the first officers on the scene. Thank you for joining us for NBC4 at noon. I'm Audrey Hassan. The new video shows the chaos that unfolded at the mall on Wednesday in the moments after shots rang out in front of shoppers. NBC4's Dan Perlman joins us live in the newsroom now with more on this investigation. Dan?
Well, Audrey, we received two body cam videos of Columbus police responding to the mall. I've gone through both, and I do want to show you parts of them. In this one, you can see three officers at a table eating lunch. No audio here, as this is part of the 60-second rollback feature, but you can see that reaction as the call came in, and officers immediately run out the door. It took these officers less than 3 minutes to arrive at the entrance to Macy's. They entered the store, guns drawn, sticking together, eventually making their way into the main mall, where you can see and hear them looking for possible victims and suspects. While also
I've been there where it's been shooting, man. I've been there, man. Man, you feel so good when you see some police show up, man. That feeling when the police walk in. And they said it took them 3 minutes. I bet for the people inside that mall, it felt like 30 minutes. It took the police 3 minutes to get there. I guarantee you, for some people, for little kids, it felt like 3 hours. For kids, it felt like 3 hours. But for adults, it probably felt like 30 minutes. When them police showed her,
See 3 officers at a table eating lunch. No audio here as this is part of the 60-second rollback feature, but you can see that reaction as the call came in and officers immediately run out the door. It took these officers less than 3 minutes to arrive at the entrance to Macy's. They entered the store guns drawn, sticking together, eventually making their way into the main mall where you can see and hear them looking for possible victims and suspects, while also hearing about others in the mall hiding.
If somebody pop over to Good Energy, we've got people, employees that are hiding in the bathroom over there.
Well, now Columbus police have again released these still images of the 2 shooting suspects. They are asking for help from you, the public, in identifying them. I've been in touch with police today at this hour. No arrests, but they say they are actively working this case. Of course, we'll bring you updates throughout the day as we learn more. Local for you, Dan Perlman, NBC4.
so Miss Tlaib, you don't want no police, right? You don't want no police around, right? Fine. Let's start with your district. Let's start with your neighborhood. You be the test case. You volunteer to be the guinea pig. And once we see how it works out with no police, where you, in your district and in your neighborhood and in your city, then we'll take that data and we'll be able to make a decision based on the results from what happens in your district, in your neighborhood. Okay? That's the only reasonable thing that reasonable people can do. Other than that, man, this is criminal. This woman should resign. She should step down. She's incompetent of leading. Like, how can this woman be a leader when she wants to get rid of police? Now, in the middle of the worst crime wave in 25 years in this country, she wants to get rid of police because some psychopath got shot by accident by some dumb cop. Oh well, life goes on. I'm not getting rid of my police. The hell with you. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the Cash App, hit the PayPal, hit the Super Chat. No one's covering this situation like we do. What's going on in this country? Peace. I'm out.